So when you want to make skin look super glowy and fresh, I think it's really important to give the face a little massage beforehand just to get the blood circulation going, because it really helps bring some colour to the cheeks and just make sure that every little area is fully moisturised. So when creating a really fresh skin, it's important to start with a super cleansed base. I'm going to start using these. They're by a brand called This Works, and they're little cleansing pads. And I just like these because they're super easy, but they just help to remove any dead skin and any little traces of makeup. So skin is perfectly cleansed, and I'm going to moisturise now with this beautiful moisturiser. And it's called Pearl Touch because it just gives this beautiful kind of refined, flawless finish to the skin, almost like a pearl. So I want to keep foundation really light so it doesn't actually look like foundation. So I'm using Double Wear Light today, which has got quite a decent coverage for kind of a lightweight foundation, but still busts into the skin really seamlessly. So I applied foundation with this Kat Von D brush, number 25, and then I'm just going back over it with this brush from Morphe, which is a number 510, and that's just to buff the product into the skin so you get this super sheer, flawless finish. So now foundation's on, I'm going back over the top with a little bit of concealer. This is Laura Mercier's Secret Camouflage, which has 2 shades, so you can kind of bespoke make your colour. And it's just really great if you want to create a super, super natural finish because of the texture. So a little tip when you're creating this kind of no makeup look is really not to overload the concealer under the eyes, because all of that kind of natural colour under the eyes and shadowing, if you blank that out too much, then you kind of have to put dimension back in the. So the texture of this is kind of quite dry, which means it doesn't move around too much, and it can be used to cover any little blemishes and can also be used under the eyes and actually is really long wearing. Now for cheeks I want to use a liquid blush, and I'm using this one by Danessa Myricks, which is called Vision Flush, and I'm using a finger and I'm really just going to press that into the skin because you can kind of feel then where it needs to go. So you want to kind of put that blush sort of a little bit lower than you would normally if you're doing super natural flush. So kind of in this area, just under the cheekbones, and then press upwards and outwards. And this gives you this kind of naturally flushed, almost like you've been for a break. Also, the benefit in using your fingers is that you can really control how much you move the product that you've already applied. So I'm using my fingers because we put a little bit of concealer here and I don't want to wipe it off with a brush. So just with the same shade now, I'm just using this angle brush, which is from MAC, and I'm just using that to kind of work my way under the cheekbones to create some sculpting and definition. So I'm going to leave highlighting until the last, and I'm just putting a little bit of this Flawless Finish setting powder from Charlotte Tilbury just under the eyes to set that concealer and also around the nose. So applying a little bit of NARS Smudge Proof Shadow Primer in the shade Medium, which is really close to Isabel's natural skin colour. And the main reason for this is just so it looks super natural but stops anything we put on top from creasing. Instead of eyeshadow, I'm actually going to use this MAC Sculpt and Shape Contour Palette on the eyes, taking a little bit of this kind of medium shade and just using that to give a little bit of definition in the socket. This brush is a 0.3 from my Kitco, and if you just look up for me, I'm also going to take that same shade under the eyes and quite low and soft because we want this to look like shading and definition rather than eyeshadow. So with a little bit of brown shadow on an angle brush, I'm just using this on the outer corner of the eye just to press super close to the lash line, which is going to give us a little bit of definition along the lash line and also help to elongate the eyes. So I've done that on both eyes, and now just with this little 239 brush from MAC, I'm going over the top of that just to blend and soften that line. Because the thing when you want to create a really natural looking makeup is you don't want any hard lines. You want to really blend and soften everything. So I'm just using a liquid liner now, and I'm not creating a wing, I'm just drawing over the root of the lashes just to give extra depth and definition just to the lash line in the outer corner. And a little tip is, if you make a mistake, just go back over with your angle. I'm just putting some cream liner in the waterline. I tend to often use cream instead of white just because it's a little bit softer and more natural. This pencil is a gorgeous, really soft one from Chantecaille. Belle has beautiful curled lashes anyway, but I'm just making sure these are extra lifted because these really help to achieve a pretty feathery look without too much makeup. So this mascara is MAC's in Extreme Definition Lash, and I'm just really working this into the root of the lashes so that it gives us that gorgeous kind of defined curl, but doesn't look too heavily made up. Now time for some brows. I'm using soap brows, and I'm going to spray a little bit of this Urban Decay fixing spray directly into the soap, and then just with a spoolie pick up a little bit of product before combing it through Belle's brows. So I always like to apply the soap first and give that a chance to dry and set a little bit before I put any colour product through the brows. And that way, the waxiness of the soap allows you to kind of keep hair-like strokes whilst using product. What a difference a brushed out brow makes. I mean, Belle's brows are so gorgeous, but a little tip when doing this is sometimes people find they can get a little bit of soap on the skin. You just want to press that away so that you don't move the foundation. So I'm using a little bit of Anastasia Beverly Hills Dip Brow in the shade Soft Brown now. And to keep brows super natural, I'm only going in to kind of replicate these little hair strokes where Belle's got some natural gaps in her brows. I love this natural hair growth that Belle has, so actually I'm using this brush to almost replicate those natural hairs that are coming through and just thicken them slightly. So generally I find when I do brows, this area here usually doesn't need as much attention as the arch or the end of the brows. So try and keep the start of the brows super natural and then just add a little bit more definition to create. So now on to highlighting, and again just using fingers, and I'm pressing some of the Becca Shimmering Skin Perfector in the shade Moonstone just at the top of cheekbones, using my fingers so that it's a really light application that doesn't move the product underneath. So the same product now, but just with a little pencil brush. This one's from MAC, just in the inner corners of the eyes here. So it's just all these touches when you do kind of a no makeup look that really make the look whilst keeping it natural. And a little bit of that highlighter just in the centre of the nose, between the eyes, tip of the nose, Cupid's bow. I'm also going to put a tiny bit on the chin just to give us this really beautiful glowy spa-like skin. Now I'm going to define lips, and I'm going to use this Bobbi Brown art stick. I love these because you can kind of go all over the lips and use them as a lipstick. And I'm going to go slightly over Belle's natural lip line just to give a slightly fuller pout. And this shade is called Bear. So the lip is on, and I'm just pressing that in with a finger because, like anything, if you kind of press back over the top of it, it just kind of gives it that lived-in, little bit more natural finish. So Laura has just done Belle's hair, and I thought I'd add a little bit of blush to the look. So I've already popped a little bit of this on. This is a Gillian Dempsey blush. It's a cream blush, which I'm putting on with a little stippling brush, just to give that beautiful winter flush.